Okay, let's talk about animals we don't see in the winter. Many animals hibernate during the cold months of the year. Basically, they go to sleep. Some animals hibernate in holes in the ground. Others sleep in caves, under bushes, or at the base of trees. Bears hibernate. So do cold-blooded animals, like frogs and snakes. When animals are hibernating, it seems like they're dead. They have slow heartbeats, and they almost stop breathing. They have stored extra energy and fat to keep them alive. By the end of winter, they are very weak. They must eat soon after waking up.
1. What is the topic of the lecture? 2. How does the professor explain the places for animals' hibernation? 3. What is the main idea of the talk?
Track and field events happened long before they became a sport. The Sand people in Africa are one example. They still hold what's called a persistence hunt. The men find the tracks of an antelope herd. They find the antelope and follow them for several days and nights. During this time, they study the animals and choose one. Then the hunt begins. Only the fastest runner will go after the chosen animal. He and the animal may run for as long as 8 hours. If the hunter persists, the deer will finally get tired and fall. Then he'll slaughter it.
Number 1. What is the main idea of the talk? 2. How does the professor organize the information in the lecture? 3. What type of hunt is done by the Sand people?
Another name for the South Pole is Antarctica. This is a continent, but no people live there. There's a good reason for this. It's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. The lowest temperature ever measured was in Antarctica, -88 degrees Celsius. 98% of the ground is permanently frozen, and the continent contains 87% of the world's ice. Antarctica's only human occupants are scientists. They go there to learn how Antarctica used to be millions of years ago, when it was located at the equator. Antarctica used to be connected to Australia before all the continents on the planet shifted.
Number 1. What aspect of Antarctica does the professor mainly discuss? 2. How much of the world's ice is contained in Antarctica? 3. How does the professor emphasize that Antarctica is cold?
If a play makes you laugh, it's a comedy. Comedies have humorous characters and happy endings. A good example of a comedy is Shakespeare's classic Much Ado About Nothing. Another popular style is called tragedy. Tragedies usually tell how a hero ruins his life, falling from good fortune to bad fortune because of a tragic flaw in character. One example is the play Ghosts by Henrik Ibsen. Modern years have produced a third style called tragicomedy. In tragicomedies, the play seems as though it will end in tragedy, but instead has a humorous or unclear ending. An example is St. Joan by George Bernard Shaw.
Number 1. Why does the professor mention the play by Ibsen? 2. What are the 3 types of plays mentioned in the talk? 3. Which is an example of a tragicomedy?
It's a beautiful blue sky today. Ever wonder why it's blue? It's because the sun's rays scatter or spread out as they enter the Earth's atmosphere. Blue rays are scattered most. They seem to be all over the sky. Yellow rays are scattered less. This is why the sun looks yellow most of the time. But after sunrise and just before sunset, the sun looks red. Why? Because then the rays must travel a longer path into the atmosphere. More of the blue and yellow rays are scattered. The red rays are scattered the least, so they come through in the largest numbers.
Number 1. What is the talk mainly about? Number 2. According to the speaker, why is the sky blue? Number 3. Which color of light ray scatters the least?
We all know that we can get vitamin D from sunshine. Long winters make it hard to get enough. People who don't get outside often don't get enough either. Without vitamin D, we may develop weak bones and teeth. We can get certain kinds of cancer more easily too. Few foods other than fish naturally have much vitamin D, so it's important to get some sunshine every day. But be careful. Too much can cause skin cancer. Notice what most animals that live outside all the time do. They are most active during the hours before sunrise and after sunset.
Number 1. What aspect of health does the professor mainly discuss? Number 2. What is the speaker's main point? Number 3. How does the professor emphasize her point about getting enough vitamin D?
In North America, the best weavers are a group of people called the Pueblo. That's Pueblo. The Pueblo have been weaving clothes, baskets and blankets since at least 1000 BC. At first, they used their fingers to weave together vegetable fibers and animal hair. In the 1st century AD, they began growing cotton. About this time, they also started using a loom, a kind of machine that helped them weave the cotton into cloth more quickly and easily. By the year 1600, the Pueblos had sheep. So they began weaving wool, using the same methods they had used for weaving cotton.
Number 1. How does the speaker present the information in the lecture? Number 2. What is the speaker's main point? Number 3. Why did the Pueblos start weaving with a loom?
Acupuncture is a way of treating sick people. The Chinese developed it over 2,500 years ago, and it is still used today. In acupuncture, small metal needles are inserted into spots on the human body. There are 787 of these spots. Each one is connected to a special body part or system. If, your ear hurts, for example, the doctor will put needles into all the spots connected with your ear. The needles don't hurt because they don't go in very far. Sometimes the doctor runs an electric current through the needles. We don't understand exactly why this helps people.
Number 1. What is the speaker's main point? Number 2. Why does acupuncture help people? Number 3. Why does the professor mention ears?